Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Doud here with another dose of all the tech news you need to know. And boy, oh boy, is today a doozy. But first, they say variety is the spice of life, and Digit is here to help. We've got Nick coming off the bench for a few days while Tristan makes his way back to the land of kangaroos and shrimp on the barbie. And Sam is filling in for me tomorrow, so you're going to get the full Digit experience this week, and it's exciting. But for now, it is December 3rd, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. There are some days when the headlines just write themselves. Pablo Escobar's brother just released a folding phone. Yes, that Pablo Escobar, and yes, a folding phone. I mean, I could just set that story down on a nice little platter and let you just absorb that little bit and call it a successful podcast. But if you're like me, once you realize I'm not speaking metaphorically, you'll want to know more. So you want more detail? Sure, I'm just going to drop in the audio from the official commercial for you right here. Okay, so I think that answers everything we need to know, right? We good? Okay, good talk. Thanks, everybody. See you later. No, we are not good, even though we're totally good. So let's get back to the phone. Do you remember back in December of last year when we talked about the Royal Flex Pi? This is basically that, but with more gold trim, Russian models, and cocaine. And that's cool. The Royal Flex Pi was a good first effort, a beta phone perhaps. And now I need to be 100% clear on this point. There is no mention whatsoever that Royal and Escobar Inc. are in any way connected at all. So when I say it looks like a Flex Pi, that's just for comparison purposes. Let's move on. When asked about the Escobar phone, Roberto Escobar told Digital Trends, quote, "I have told many people that I would beat Apple and I will. I will cut the networks and retailers to sell customers phones that can fold for only $349. Phones which in stores cost thousands of dollars by Samsung and others. This is my goal, to beat Apple, and by doing it myself like I always have." And presumably when he says cut the networks and retailers, he means cut out the middleman, not the other thing. But I mean, we also can't completely rule it out, right? Anyway, this phone costs just $349, which is an incredibly low price for a normal phone, let alone one that folds. It's got a full HD display that folds around the outside of a device similar to the Huawei Mate X. It has an undisclosed Snapdragon 8 series chipset, 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and 16 and 20 megapixel dual cameras. And if you visit the website, you'll be treated to the video that I played above, which is basically 45 seconds of glamour shots, typical smartphone commercial stuff. The rest of the imagery is, well, I wouldn't say not safe for work, assuming you work as an auto mechanic or a Russian model lingerie photographer, but as for other occupations, you might want to steer clear. And of course, the website includes a disclaimer, which I'm going to read verbatim. By purchasing this phone, the buyer is in agreement that Escobar Inc. will not be held liable for loss of property and/or any losses caused by the use of the phone. Okay then, well, I don't want one anymore. Thanks. No, really. I appreciate it, really. Thanks. I would really love to. I'd love to. But you know what? It's time for the roundup. Thank God for the roundup. Match Group is a company that owns apps like Tinder, Plenty of Fish, and OkCupid. And according to Match Group, there are definitely registered sex offenders on their free products. What now? Match Group allows anyone to sign up for their apps for free and doesn't screen users for past sexual offenses until they reach a paid tier. But it's just the phrasing here that's odd, or at least it's not very PR friendly. There are definitely sex offenders. Sounds a lot worse than, well, we don't check, so yeah, maybe. Of course, that's not a problem if you go with the paid tier, which seems like an effective sales strategy. It's like a daycare where you drop off your kids at the zoo all day for free, easy peasy. But if you want someone to actually watch them and stop them before they crawl into the gorilla enclosure, well, there's fees with that. We talked about a special Apple event, air quotes, that Apple was putting on yesterday? Well, it was an invitation-only affair where Apple introduced app developers to the press to share their stories of inspiration behind their various apps and services. 9to5Mac seemed to think it was a bit of a yawner, but I bet the developers that were there didn't think so. No hardware or operating system announcements, just the devs and their stories, and maybe if the press wasn't so busy whining about the fact that there were no new iPhones, we might have gotten to hear some of those stories. C'est la vie. Mark Zuckerberg once again defended Facebook's right to not take down political ads that contain lies or misinformation. Zuckerberg cited his long-standing position that he thinks it's up to the people to see what politicians are saying and decide for themselves, which is fine if people actually took the time to research stuff. In the meantime, I think I'm going to start a GoFundMe page to buy banner ads on Facebook that say, Mark Zuckerberg has a 2-inch penis, vote for Bernie Sanders. Maybe then we'll see if he changes his position on political ads that contain misinformation. And speaking of ads, thanks again to our sponsor, Minimal Case. Visit mnmlcase.com and use the promo code DDCM19, link in the show notes, for 40% off your order. And we thank you for sponsoring this podcast. And finally, speaking of Facebook, the social network recently rolled out a chatbot designed to help employees answer questions from friends and family about why they work for a crappy company that's run by terrible people. How do I know they're a crappy company run by terrible people? Well, let's look at the evidence. First, they rolled out a chatbot to help employees explain why their company sucks so bad. 2, they rolled out a chatbot. They couldn't even be bothered to give in-person talks or counseling. 3, not only do they know they suck, they know their employees' families are going to give them crap for it. I mean, this is just peak Facebook here. It perfectly illustrates just about everything wrong with the company. Not only is the company's user base so big that they can't have live support staff to help, but employees running the company number so many that they can't even have live support staff for them. This is a company built by algorithms run by people who ultimately believe that people have no business trying to run a business. Yeah, I need to go. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about digitdailypod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.